tendency for people to just keep the small things that really matter in a situation. In this particular case, the genesis of these commissioners being suspended was a petition that was brought to Parliament by a member of the public. And actually it is set out very clearly in Article 251 of the Constitution 2. It says, a person deciding the removal of a member of a commission or a holder of an independent office on any ground specified in Clause 1 may present a petition to the National Assembly setting out the alleged fact constituting the grounds. And that is exactly what happened. When it was brought to Parliament, it was given to the Committee of Constitutional and Legal Affairs. The JSC members were called to appear in the committee to clarify on this case, and instead of appearing to the committee, they actually took the Parliament to court. They sought a court order to stop them from appearing in the Parliamentary Committee on the Constitutional and Legal Affairs, right, being evasive. And in this particular case, the Committee of Constitutional and Legal Affairs had the petitioner, it had the other parties involved, and they came up with a recommendation to Parliament. And this thing was actually debated in Parliament. And I'm very surprised when members of court who were very vocal on that particular day, we can go on the Hansard, it's very clear. Some of them that I don't want to name here came out very clearly that this cannot be tolerated, that they actually have to be recommended for removal. It was given to the President, not on the basis of the Jubilee members of Parliament. It was on the members of Parliament recommendation that this had to happen. Now, what happens after the President now suspends these commissioners and elects a tribunal? Because the person who has been elected by the President to head the tribunal is Justice Zingera, and somebody somewhere feels it's not the right thing, or their person has not been elected, or they feel that they have to play populist politics, then it is brought to the limelight. It's a very big thing. It has nothing to do with the formation of the tribunal. This has something to do with populist politics.
Is this,
and
that Zingera
yes,
was looking to be appointed in the Supreme Court. He was interviewed by the JSC
and
rejected.
Yes.
Now he's going to reject the same people.
Is that wise?
Extreme
is that
conflict
right?
of interest. Is
No,
that right?
I don't think it's a conflict of interest, because if you look at the guidelines into getting this tribunal, it says the chairman has to be a judge who has served in Supreme Court.
Zingera is not the only one.
He's not the only one, right? And I do not see anywhere in record where Zingera's credibility has been proved to be not in tandem with the consistency of the Article 6 in this particular case. Because Chapter 6, not Article 6. Because in this particular case, he was never convicted. He was never proved to be incompetent. So because it's just an allegation, like you're saying.
Conflict of interest, because he appeared before the same judges. They rejected him. So most likely he is going to be vengeful.
Mr. Mutegi, are you telling me that in one particular time, if you appear for an interview in Citizen TV in a department here, and you're rejected, later if there's a job to do with that department, you can't be given the job just because you appeared in an interview? It is not. That is not right.
You know,
it isn't.
The argument that has also been given by even the Law Society of Kenya is that Zingera is not the best option, and by the fact that he was rejected by the JSC, and at one time he came out publicly criticizing the JSC, there is every reason to know that he will have his own personal interests. So him leading the tribunal,
he may have criticized the JSC because of reasons that he was seeing that particular point in time, but that does not stop him at this particular from being fair in overseeing the whole thing.
What is being said is there's so many judges who have retired.
He's not the best,
and people who are qualified to be judges. Why him?
Well, because on merit.
Why always the pattern of appointments? I think the people advising our president who got votes from across this country are misleading him. I think the president needs to look wider beyond his current advisors who are not doing him a favor, because people are upset why the consistent pattern of appointments of important people into important jobs just from around the Mount Kenya region. And I have to say it because honestly, it's what Kenyans are asking themselves. As a young leader, I'm asking myself, Aren't there other experienced Kenya from other parts of the country who can do that job? TNA has supporters from everywhere in this country. Why do they have to change consistently all these appointments around the same place?
I disagree with that, because he seems to be going on a very dangerous ground.
No,
right? Because when you say everybody has been picked from around Mount Kenya, can you tell me who else in that particular tribunal is from Mount Kenya?
I have
or
said.
the Jubilee. Can you tell me in that judiciary who else is from Mount Kenya? Because even the Chief Justice himself, if you talk about the judiciary, he's not from Mount Kenya region. So I think he's trying to say that people from Mount Kenya cannot be qualified for the job, which is particularly very, very wrong.
I think what the pattern of appointments consistently of
Can
senior
you
officials...
can you actually prove it?
You just asked me a question. Give me a chance to
Can you
answer
prove
it. Give me a chance to answer it.
Okay.
Okay? I am glad I got under your skin, because I'm saying the truth. And I have no shame at all to say this. The consistent pattern of leadership. Look at our security sector. Apart from Inspector Kimayo and Olelenku, who else is there that's not from Mount Kenya to lead our security? And see the situation of the security in the country. No one's holding them accountable, and Kenyans are suffering. So I'm not saying people from Mount Kenya are bad. I'm saying if you appoint consistently in a bad pattern, you don't get the best team of Kenyans.
On that particular point is not right. If you look at the security, the head of security, Olelenku, if you look, okay, the deputy is, I mean, the PS, just hold on a minute.
Two people I told you.
Hold on a minute. You had your chance. The head of security is Olelenku, right? The PS is Yerengo. Yes, he's from Mount Kenya. Kimayu is from Rift Valley. So three. There's only one out of three in that particular case. And look at defense. The head of defense is from Nyanza. And honestly, if the government of the Jubilee was really tribal, then you never give up a Department of Defense to somebody from Nyanza region. So I think, my friend, is just this particular case.
Perhaps also to respond to a couple of questions coming from the viewers. Somebody says here, this is John from Elder, it says, it is wrong to say that the president will put his own people. Does that mean that those who were Kibaki and Raila's people? Why incite Kenyans against the president?
No, the people who were there before. By the way, let me ask you this question. We're not inciting Kenyans against the president. Okay. We have to hold our president accountable. He's not above the law. Criticism, if it's fair and patriotic, has to be taken and accepted. These people want to operate in a culture where if they make mistakes, no one should speak it. Then why are we as Kenyan leaders paid to be in the opposition, to point out when our government is going wrong, to suggest alternatives and say so? And my alternative is Ringera is the same old tired faces we are not happy with. And Ringera could not do the job at KACC. Ringera has a conflict of interest, whether you deny it or not, and the president could have done us a favor and chosen somebody else who everyone would rally around and say, you know what, we believe this will be fair. But you wait and see just right now if the courts won't accept a case against these appointments of these tribunal members and say they're not the right people. So I'm sorry if somebody thinks we're inciting anybody, but politics is competitive and people want their interests represented, and the president should appoint people from all over the country who have those qualifications. There's many retired judges from all over the country who could do the job.
Respond to these other, just two, and then we continue. There's some from Kimilili says, this court group is just happy playing politics in everything. It's not rocket science to understand that the 6 commissioners have done what they have done to our judiciary. This one, I'm behind the president. Another person says, court should stop politicizing everything and anything in the government. It's on record they have no confidence in the judiciary. They're pretending to defend it now.
That is a very good question they bring up there. If we were the ones who were most harmed by the judiciary and had an axe to grind with them based on the verdict of the Supreme Court of the March 4th elections, we would have been on the front line attacking the judiciary, the whole place. So it actually shows an intellectual honesty and consistency on our part that we can be unhappy with what the judiciary decided on the March 4th elections. We accept and move on unhappily with tears in our eyes and heavy hearts, but we accept and move on because the institutions must exist. Okay? And here at the same time we say this same judiciary that we may not have been very happy with is under attack. So Kenyans should not think the judiciary is there for CORD. Kenyans must understand that an opposition exists as a valid institution. And if it wasn't, we would only say whoever wins government is the only person who gets to have a say, and opposition leaders, you can't even go to parliament, you can't even serve, and let's for 5 years not question anything, let them implement their mandate. So I think these people misunderstand the role of an opposition. Nothing here is to stop the president. Look at Westgate when it happened. Didn't we all unite together to say this is an attack on our country? And we as a patriotic opposition stood loyal with everybody, and we approached the issue forward together. So I don't think anyone should say, and we're not cowed or intimidated by saying it's opposition and politics for the sake of politics. Let's ask the valid questions, and I know however much Jubilee members will say consistently the president had a right to do that. I agree with you, the president had a right to appoint and had a duty to appoint that constitution. But we have to ask, what quality? Don't just do a shoddy job because you have to do it. Do the best you can do with it. Give us the best committee and give them a mandate to do this and deliver. This is where we agree on one thing. How quickly then can this tribunal work? Has the president given them time to tell them, please do your best, do this quickly because we need the judiciary to be moving on and appoint the 40 judges that are needed in this country. So if we can get to that point, we have a middle ground we can agree on, and we're not just opposing everything for the sake of it. We have to move the country forward and serve our citizens.
But perhaps, Honorable Muthomi, you could respond to this, because listening to Honorable Okoth, there's something that is really standing out, that there's a trend by the Jubilee administration. There is a trend. It's not even about the Judicial Service Commission issue. There has been a trend from the time of the elections throughout. Tell us about this. Is there a strategy to basically work out?
But